What's up, guys? Ashley here. With October being officially over comes the end of our October series. And of course, Taryn and I are always a little bit sad because we just love those scary stories. But guess what? If you're subscribed to our Supercast account, the scary stories don't end here. They continue all year long. And not old reused scary stories, brand new ones that you guys send in. But there's so much more that comes with that as well. You get solo episodes. You can ask Taryn and I questions specifically and we'll answer them like actual AMAs. Ad-free listening and so much more. And it's only $5 a month. It's totally worth the money and you get more of Taryn and I. So check out our Supercast, and if you have a scary story that you want read on it, send it in and title it Super Scary so we know to read it on Supercast.
Hey, Ash.
Hey, Taryn.
How y'all doing?
Hey, we're doing good, I say
really?
we. I'm not, but collectively, I feel like we're doing good. Yeah.
Your earrings are beautiful.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
I don't think I looked at you today, which I'm gonna blame on you because you usually don't give me direct eye contact till we start recording.
I looked right at you and asked you if you wanted a winter dream tea latte from Coffee Bean.
Okay, that's true.
So I rebuke that statement.
One thing I love about me is I'm so quick to admit if I made a mistake or if someone calls me out. Oh no.
Oh no.
Phlegm.
I don't think you can make me.
No, cough it out.
Today's episode is brought to you by Hers. Listen, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like every celebrity has easy access to GLP-1s right now, like every single one of them. But what about us regular people? Okay, what about me? What about you? What about us? Well, guess what? Now you don't need to be rich and famous in order to get access to these medications. Through Hers, you can get an affordable weight loss program personalized just for you. Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable weight loss treatments. Their holistic program gives you access to personalized solutions like GLP-1 weekly injections that have the same active ingredients as Ozempic or Wegovy, and oral medication kits as well. So if you've been struggling with your weight loss journey, it's time you find the best option that works for you with Hers. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/advice. That's forhers.com/advice for personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/advice. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
But yeah, it's funny. That's because okay, should we talk about this?
Probably.
I think it's really weird when grown people still lie and fib about things. Even when they're straight up caught in something, when you're little and your mom's like, who ate the cookie? And you're like, I don't know, but you ate the cookie.
Yep.
At what age do you just say, my bad, I ate the cookie?
I remember the last time I had a bad one.
A bad lie?
Have I told you this?
I don't know. Tell me. Who'd you lie to?
Distinctly remember being like, I cannot ever do that again because that was so bad. In high school, my senior year of high school, I told my best friend, Jasmine, that I had driven in downtown LA.
Did it just come up? And
we were talking about driving and driving experience. It might have been our junior year. And she said something like, oh, well, they say if you've driven in LA, then you can drive anywhere. And I was like, I've driven in LA.
But you haven't.
Literally never. I'd gone to see Wicked and my dad definitely drove. It was I'd come a couple times for some shows and that was it.
Yeah.
I had never in my life driven in LA. And the second it came out of my mouth, I was like, that is so not factual.
That's not true. But then you feel stupid.
You feel so stupid. And what was worse was she could tell that she knew I had never. She knew me.
That's the thing is everyone usually knows, but it's so embarrassing because we're grown people and it's why would you lie? So it's you're not going to sit there and be like, I know you just lied to me.
And I never confessed to it, but I remember specifically that day being like, you need to get yourself in check, because I do feel to a degree, I would say a lot of little white lies growing up, because in my head, I was it made my life more interesting. It made me seem more fun. And I would paint this, I think what I was doing, if we're going to be a therapist about myself, I think what I was doing was I was taking my very boring life and trying to up it a bit with my friends.
I think that's normal, child development.
Totally.
You kind of when you're switching between fantasy and reality, and then peer pressure and handling not wanting to get in trouble, like that feeling.
Yes.
And so that's my theory is a lot of people who still lie have like a very negative parental voice that still is like in their head. So they feel that need to like not get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like me and Ash have talked about this a lot because we've just noticed it with different people. But there came a point in my life where I realized like no one really cares. And in fact, like they respect you if you just like own up to stuff.
Right.
So like, and there's such a freedom that came with that. Like people will ask me a question. I'll be like, I genuinely don't know. Or I'll be like, I have no idea. Or like right now when you're like, you looked at me when you said this. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like moments like that where it's like, I think we're all so scared to keep it together 24/7.
Yeah.
Because of just pressures in life. And I feel like we all just need to like, I don't know, like let go of that.
Yeah. Or
life is too hard.
And I'm not going to go into politics, but especially with this political climate, I feel like there's a pressure to have an opinion on literally everything and know everything. Like how the words you can say, words you can't say. And I think collectively as a society and in a society that is ever changing, like every single day, like something's new and we have to adapt to it. It's okay to be like, oh, I didn't know that. Thanks
or
for
like,
telling me.
you know what? Like I'm not educated enough to give an opinion on that. But that's the thing is you spit out these things and you either say the wrong thing and sound like ignorant or you spit out a lie that now you're stuck in.
Yeah. And then you have to like remember that and put a little bookmark in it.
Yeah. And then someone's like, wait, I thought you said this the other day. And you're like,
the amount of effort that goes into remembering the lie you said.
Girl.
And if you want to make it feel real, you have to add details. So then you have to remember those details. And it's just like, I remember specifically with this lie in high school being like, she knows. And there's no way I can talk myself out of this. And I was like, you can't do this again. Like, this is bad. Like it's becoming a habit and you need to like knock it off. And I distinctly remember like giving myself a pep talk after that of like, no more
like,
lies.
It's like I'm too old to white lie over stuff that's like dumb. Like
it's so stupid. It's the craziest thing.
Funny. It's so funny. But I don't know how we got on that tangent, but I feel like I've had this conversation with so many people recently, and it's like everyone has like that friend or like coworker where it's like you're like sitting in front of them like I am not an idiot, but also like what am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
Like a freaking liar.
And
like
especially when you're that person that just said the lie, you're not going to back down. You're going to dig in deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're so embarrassed and it's so humiliating to come out and say, that's a lie.
Oh, actually, I lied about that. Yeah.
And like, if you say, well, that's not true, XYZ, they're just going to double down and you're just going to, to what end are you going to go back and forth on that? So it's kind of pointless, but
we all just need to own up to things.
Just
I really think
it's not that big of a deal.
What I've noticed since I just became like brutally like just honest with my own flaws and whatever, like I said before, like there's a freedom that comes with it.
Totally.
But also there's like a comedic relief that just comes in your life of where like if someone's like, I just did this, like who moved this towel? And you're just like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. It like diffuses the whole situation because the person's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, and then it's just done.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're like, oh, I don't know who touched that towel. Then that person's pissed because they're like, well, it's me and you here. So one of us had to have touched the towel.
It wasn't me.
So it's like then attention rises, then your anxiety rises because you're like, shoot, I just lied. And like, what if she catches me? And it's just like so much easier to just like, everyone just needs to like, let it go.
Yeah. Let go and be God.
This
let go
might
and let
be
God.
one of the let go and let God top 5 most random openings we've ever done.
I like it.
But I refuse to
I like the raw dive
apologize.
into a random topic.
Yeah.
Keep me on my toes. Keep
Also,
the listeners on their toes.
Me and you are just like so excited that we just aren't talking about scary things that we're like,
God.
what should we talk about? Our favorite brand of socks?
Yeah. I like yesterday I like got on my computer to pick out my emails for today. And I was just like, yeah. I was like, this is so pleasant. Like this is so lovely reading about your guys' life problems instead of your life scaries.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make sense?
I thought it'd be fun because, well, me and Ash both were like, oh my gosh, we have like relationship-y stories. Yeah. And so I thought it'd be fun since we're just, marinating and being able to talk about like random things. I thought it'd be fun if we both share our top 5 things that make us melt in a relationship or with a guy, and then our top 5 icks.
Yes.
Because I think it'll be very interesting, one, to hear what you have to say,
Yes.
but also for the people listening. And maybe we could do polls with them to like have people see if like it's similar. Cause I think it's so funny when people talk about their icks because they're so specific.
They are so specific.
Yeah.
And it's because I think most people don't have an ick until they've seen it.
And then they're like,
And
why
then they're
did that
like,
make me feel
why
way
can't I
feel?
look at him anymore? Why can't I be around him anymore? And it's because of
Well,
of
and
this.
on TikTok, oh, kicking underwater. I'm like, what? But then you see a video of a man kicking underwater and you're like, ew. Why does it look like that?
Yeah.
Should we start with things that make us melt?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. One of mine is the feeling like when you turn and catch a guy staring at you.
Oh,
That is like the best feeling
yes.
in the world. And we're like, and especially if like you catch them staring and they're kind of like,
Especially in the beginning when you're like feeling each other out of, do they like me or not? Especially in that phase when you're like, I think I like them. I think they like me. And then you catch them staring at you and it's like confirmed.
Yes.
They're into it.
Yes.
Like that is the best
it's
catch.
the best. It just like melts my insides.
Oh, absolutely.
That's my first one. What's yours?
One of my absolute tops is when you're like talking to your person or a person, someone, and you don't see a kiss coming, but they like grab your face and like
And move your
pull
face
you,
to them.
Yeah. But you weren't prepared. Like
Yeah.
there's a specific feeling of like, oh, you were going to turn away and they grab your face and just bring you in for like a very intense kiss. Like it's the whole, like, I didn't see it coming and they like fully grabbed you. Like that feeling. I get butterflies just thinking about it.
I know.
And I think it's like this.
You're
this
like, Jackson has work to
I'm
do.
like, hey, Jackson, take note. The specific not seeing it coming too,
Yeah.
I think makes it just even more just like, ooh.
Yeah,
It gets me so excited.
Oh, it's so good. Kind of along those lines with like not seeing it coming is any type of like, if you're like standing and you just all of a sudden feel their hands like grab around your waist or like grab your shoulders or just that feeling where like you're just like minding your own business and then all of a sudden you're just like held from behind. I'm like, I get the chills like every time. I think it's like the cutest thing.
Yeah. I have one very similar to that. And it's actually like 2 that I'm just going to pair together because they're basically the same thing. Any first like moment that the guy puts his hand on your lower back to like push you through the door first.
Yes. Or to guide you through a crowd.
Yes.
Yeah.
That all day long, fellas.
Feral.
All day long, fellas. And then at the same time, something that Jackson does that I love is whenever we're just hanging out with friends, like casually, we're not huge PDA people. We'll like hold hands and stuff like that. But like, it's not like I'm like hanging on him or like kissing him or whatever. That's never been us. But he's the best at like, he'll just like let his hand like play with my jeans.
Yeah.
And it's nothing sexual. It's nothing overtly PDA, but it feels intimate and I'm aware of it. And it's just this little light little touch of like, he'll be playing with my pockets. He'll play with like my little like belt loops.
Yeah.
And like, I love that stuff. Because it's so cute.
Cute. This is like so sad that this is one for me because it should be more common than it is. But like just the simple random like, how's your day going? Or like if they knew you had told them before, like, oh yeah, I have this really big meeting I'm nervous about. And they text and are like, how was your meeting? Basically like checking in, like knowing that like something that was important to me was like on their mind and they like check in about it and just like ask questions throughout the day. It makes me feel so like loved and just that like feeling that another person is just like thinking about you through the day is like so
100%.
beautiful.
Yes. Love that.
I love that. And it's so easy, dudes. Like ask questions. It's not that hard.
It's actually, pay attention.
Literally.
It's like the bare minimum.
Set a timer if it's that hard for you. Like at 2:30, just be like, hey girl, how's your day?
How's it doing?
Yeah.
How you doing? Neck kisses.
Melt.
And there's different levels of neck kisses, but like just neck kisses all around melt.
That's your thing.
I love them.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them, I do. I love when a guy pays, but not because it's like money. I think it's coupled with anytime a guy does something where I feel taken care of. And I think that's because specifically with my personality, I'm always the caretaker
Yes.
in every scenario. So like I'm always the one that drives, or I'm always the one that like is like very looking out for my friends. So like when a guy does something where I felt taken care of, so it doesn't have to be like he can literally buy me Del Taco like $4 for a burrito, and I would be like, ah. And then also like when they do things for your friends because they know how important they are. So like if you all go out to dinner or something and the guy's like, I got it, and pays for like your friends too.
Yeah.
I just feel like it shows like him caring for the people that you care about is like really beautiful.
Absolutely. Playing with my hair.
Yep.
Absent-mindedly, like playing with my hair.
Yeah.
Whether we're like standing in line or like hanging out with friends, just the back, like lower back part of my hair, just kind of playing with that. Oh, I literally get chills.
Yeah.
I literally get chills. Also, I don't think I outwardly
Do you wanna take care of that?
I don't think I actually said on the podcast, I'm getting over being sick.
Yeah, I was like,
So I probably should have said that in the beginning of the podcast. My voice is going from like normal to super sexy to gross.
yeah, we'll see if we make it through 2 episodes today. It might be just me talking to myself.
I know.
I don't even know how many that was, but I feel like that covers most of them. I think like it's so funny to me when guys are like sucking at relationships, or they're like, oh, it's so hard to keep girls happy. I'm like, open their door for them. Like, just show them that you're paying attention and you care for them, and like be intentional. And it's really not that hard.
100%.
Like I literally am a chia pet. Like you just water me
100%.
and like
It's not
I will
hard.
sprout.
It's so
I
stupid.
don't know if that sounded weird, but anyways.
Today's episode is brought to you by Hers. Listen, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like every celebrity has easy access to GLP-1s right now, like every single one of them. But what about us regular people? Okay. What about me? What about you? What about us? Well, guess what? Now you don't need to be rich and famous in order to get access to these medications. Through Hers, you can get an affordable weight loss program personalized just for you. Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable weight loss treatments. Their holistic program gives you access to personalized solutions like GLP-1 weekly injections that have the same active ingredients as Ozempic or Wegovy, and oral medication kits as well. Hers connects you with the medical provider who will create a personalized treatment plan tailored to your needs. If prescribed, you'll get the medication as part of a doctor-developed weight loss program, including ongoing care and online support at no additional cost, you guys. I love this for us. Through Hers, weight loss plans are more affordable with compounded GLP-1 injections starting at $199 per month with a 12-month subscription paid up front, no hidden fees, and no membership fees, thank God. Plus, your personalized treatment ships for free directly to your door. You don't even have to leave the house. So if you've been struggling with your weight loss journey, it's time you find the best option that works for you with Hers. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/advice. That's forhers.com/advice for personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/advice. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
Okay, let's move on to icks.
Icks.
I'm going to say this is very specific. Not the act of putting on chapstick, but a very specific way that certain men put on chapstick. And it's, I don't know if you've seen it, the one where they'll go,
Yeah.
they like put their lips, so their lips look like a butthole basically.
Yeah.
Like why they squish them together, I don't understand. And then they're just like that. And I've seen multiple guys put on chapstick like that. That makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the strategy there.
Yeah. I don't understand the strategy. I think most men in general, are very just unfamiliar with putting any kind of product on their lips.
Yeah.
So they just overthink it and they're just like,
Yeah,
you know.
it's that specific. I mean, we love a nourished lip.
Yeah.
But I don't
Hydration.
understand that specific approach. Not my
Neither.
fave. Not my fave.
Mine also is very specific. I think there's a very thin line of where men's nails length should and should not be.
Yeah.
And I think it comes quick. Like you go from like a very short nail, and if you miss or prolong cutting your nails for any more than a week, all of a sudden it's like, those are too long. I need you to cut them immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. I can't.
Immediately.
I cannot.
Have you ever told Jackson to trim his nails?
No, he's probably one of the first guys whose even feet are immaculate.
Wow.
Which is a
Congratulations.
big statement, because I feel like that's just not the case. A lot of guys just don't take care of their feet. I don't think I've ever once seen his nails too long,
I love that.
which love.
I honestly would take a nail biter over a long nailer.
100%. Long
Yeah.
nail is so gross to me. And I'm not there again, like there's long where you're like, do you do coke? And then there's like just like not taken
Yeah.
care of often enough. Weird length. And
Yeah.
both are disgusting in my opinion. And I'm just like, that's gross. Don't touch me with that.
Yeah.
Don't put your hand on me with that.
Yeah. Okay, so this one wasn't one of mine, but I thought it was so funny because I was like looking up icks, and someone put testing ice cream with the baby spoons. And I like pictured it happening, especially with like a giant man with the little like, and I was like, yeah, that would kind of, that could be icky.
The key to Jackson's heart is ice cream. And he loves ice cream.
Okay, so the next
I'm going to
time,
pay attention next time.
Yeah,
Because I
please
haven't.
take a video.
I
for me.
haven't. But also, I don't want that to become an ick for me.
Oh,
because
no. Just be
of
like,
how much he
go
loves
ahead.
ice cream. I'll be like, I don't want to look.
Taste it.
That's hilarious. I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
A loud eater. I
feel like that's an
I feel
ick
like that's
across the board, like whether it's a girl, guy, friend,
Yes, absolutely.
cousin.
But the like smacking, I feel like I'm more accustomed to girls being a little more smackier with like gum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a guy, like think of a guy smacking gum.
Yeah, that would be weird. Or like talking with their mouth full of food.
Yeah. But it's like that smacky sound that
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just like,
smacky. Yeah, no, thank you.
if you're not a girl from New York, that should not be coming out of your mouth.
Okay, so one of mine, and I feel like I feel like a lot of girls probably think of this, the types of accounts a guy follows. If a guy follows super sexual like accounts on Instagram, or like they're constantly on socials like looking at stuff like that, like to me it's not even like a jealousy thing. It's just a like, if I think about like a man that I want to like be with and to like lead me in a relationship, and then you picture like a guy like sitting at home on his couch, like on his little phone, like looking at women, like doesn't that just feel like pathetic?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like have a hard time with like when guys are like really into like looking at like influencers and like different things that because of like I'm looking at their body, like the thought of a guy sitting on a couch like, oh, hot, like looking at a girl, I don't know what it is, but it like demasculates them to me.
Well, in my head, a real man would be out there getting the
Yeah.
girl, or will have gotten the girl and doesn't need to go on social media.
Yeah,
to
it's
scroll.
just the
the
like
need to like scroll and look at that kind of
Yes,
stuff. In
that's
my
gross to
opinion,
me.
means they can't have that, and that's the attraction to it.
Yeah, it's yuck.
It's my thoughts on that.
That's my thoughts.
My next ick is a picky eater, and hear me out. Like think of like when Harry met Sally. Like imagine a guy sitting down and being like, "Hi, can I have a salad, but with the cheese on the side? And instead of this dressing, can I do the oil and vinegar? And then could I have the chicken grilled? And then on top of that, would love like a side of vegetables, but only if they're grilled. If you only have steamed vegetables, then I don't want steamed vegetables." If all of that came out from a man's mouth, I'd be
No, that
like,
would be-
excuse me, that's my job.
Yeah, like if it's more than just like, hey, can I get this with no onions and no tomatoes?
Yes.
Like it's a little.
Yes. Easy
Yeah.
edits, sure.
Is that
Picky
picky?
eater?
Is that picky? I guess it is picky.
Yeah.
Or just like very, yeah, That's interesting. I feel like I think of myself as a picky eater because
You're
I'm
a
like,
very
oh,
picky
I don't
eater.
like. It's more like it's not like that where I'm like very preferential about like what and how food is. It's more just like, oh, I don't like fish and I don't like a
Yeah.
few vegetables. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's not an ick.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, you don't like something.
But if you're like,
But if you're super picky,
Yeah,
then
that's wild.
I'm like, oh.
The last one I'll end with is just when a man is like really condescending to me, but in a way where it's like, I love getting made fun of. Like if I say the wrong thing, I expect you to like go off and like make me feel dumb.
Yeah.
But when it's like me offering an opinion and him thinking his opinion's right, and there's just like when there's this really condescending tone of like, oh, that's what you think, like that type of thing, or they try to like explain things to me in a way where it's like, oh, you poor thing, let me explain. I get very like, I don't know. I have a hard time when men try to like prove that they're a man, but like not in a hot way, in a like insecure way.
Yeah.
Like I don't love.
Yeah. Last one for me. It's another really specific one. But when a guy has like food in his hands and you're at like a baseball game, or you're at Disneyland, or you're out and about in, downtown, and there's nowhere to eat. So you like sit down on like a stool or a curb, and their knees come together to hold their tray of food.
Yeah.
And they're
Which is so sad because you're like, how else are they supposed to
else are
eat?
you
But
supposed to
like,
do it?
especially if you're sitting like across from them.
it's specifically sitting across from them, and it's even worse if they're wearing shorts. I don't know why, but it's just like a lot of knee. It's a lot of knee. It does this like A shape.
It's a lot of right angles.
That's just, it does not suit the male figure.
It doesn't.
And it just makes them look so like they're like
a little
hovering
kid.
over
Yeah,
their food.
yeah.
And it's not a great look.
Yeah.
And it's so stupid.
Because it's like the simplest thing. Yeah.
Because if there's no table, what else do you do? Don't look at them. Don't sit across from them.
Sit next.
Sit next to, so you don't have
Sit
to
next
stare at it.
or look up.
Yeah.
I'm dead. Okay, well, you guys should definitely head to our Instagram. We'll be doing polls and then maybe like opening up to see like what your guys' icks are or things that make you melt. So yeah, head over. I mean, you should follow our Instagram in general because we have a good time and that's where we get to like interact with you guys the most. Another way you can interact with us more is by joining our subscription Supercast account.
Tell them about it, Taryn.
Less than a latte a month. And we do AMAs, we do
Scary stories.
We do very just like, we're a little more open to share some details
We're a little
on
more
Supercast because
unfiltered.
it's intimate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you should head there.
Did you hear how I said yeah? Yeah.
Yeah. You should head there if you want a good time.
All the things. Ad-free listening. I hate ads.
Yeah, they are
I
kind of the worst.
I haven't gotten the like Disney Plus Hulu bundle yet.
Oh, it's worth it.
And my Disney Plus I deleted because it's now on Hulu. I'm watching a lot of stuff with ads, and I'm like, Disney Plus isn't supposed to have ads.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's been bothering me because the ad placement's weird because it's not meant for ads. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's freaking. I hate
Yeah.
ads. I can't.
They're the
stand it.
worst. But also, they make people money like us.
Also,
So
they keep the lights on, so
So
we
in
love
that
those.
case, we love them. We love the ads.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into today's Tearing It Up, where you guys send us funny stories. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hi, girlies. Love
Hello.
you two to pieces. I've been a fierce watcher of your YouTube videos for a long time now, and I'm a fan of the pod since day one.
Love that.
This is the first time that I'm actually writing in a Tearing It Up, and I hope that it makes you laugh. For some context, I am Michaela, and you can say my name. I am a 21-year-old girl from Italy. I can be very awkward when caught off guard and when something unexpected happens. And this story is about one of those moments. This summer, I went to work at the local festival in our town. Italy has plenty of them. You practically go to an open pop-up restaurant where people from town cook for you and serve you. There is always a band playing, and it's a lot of fun. I want to go.
No, I literally was like, That sounds so much
Should we go?
fun. And I'm pissed that we don't have something similar.
Michaela, can you invite us?
Yeah. Can we come?
Please. She continues, I was serving and one of my classmates from middle school that I have not seen in years was cooking hamburgers and fries. I saw him, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't think he'd recognize me, which is something I would do. I'm not the one to go up and say hi. Also, I am really scared of meeting people that I went to middle school with because, ew, that version of me was a completely different person and I'm almost ashamed of her, which I've never related to anything more. Long story short, I ignore him. But he comes up to me while I was waiting for a portion of fries for my table and he says, hey, are you Michaela's sister? Mistaking me for my sister Myra. And she adds, she looks exactly like me. And I answer, and she writes, please girls, bear with me. I answer, quote, no. Am I Michaela's sister? No. I am Michaela's own sister. No. Michaela is me. Feeling flustered, I quickly add, we went to school together, and then proceeded to take my fries. However, because I was panicking, I grabbed everything a little too quickly, and the fries flew all over the place.
No,
I got really red, and then I ran away.
Oh, no.
Lucky he wasn't one of the hot guys that I went to school with back then. It would have been so much worse. P.S. I included a picture of me and my sister, as I know that you love pictures. I'm the one dressed in white. You guys do look very similar. Also, I love that dress on you. I have a dress with the exact same print, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
obsessed.
I love that dress on you, too. It's so funny because it's like those moments where you're just like, it's like your brain is like running too fast for your
Yes.
mouth and you're just like, oh my God, shut up.
Absolutely.
Like,
And it happens
all
to
you
me
have
a
to
lot.
say is like, no, I am Michaela. Like,
And
hey, it's me. It
what's
is me.
worse than this is something that specifically happens to me, and it happens at a lot of events, is people will come up and say hi or whatever. And if I'm not in my top notch social self, then I'll say something dumb. And then I'll play that something dumb on repeat in my head and on a loop
Over
the entire night while you're
person's
talking.
gone.
You're having a whole conversation with
You
me.
can't replay it.
I can't
like,
hear you because all I'm hearing is how dumb I sounded. And then it gets worse and worse. And then sometimes I try to fix it and it makes it even worse.
Well, it makes it worse because everyone else has moved on and no one's thinking about it.
And I still
so then
can't
when
let it
you
go.
offer up like I meant orange, then everyone's like, what? And then it's just like, it just like never, it never like swings back.
And something that Taryn has taught me that I've gotten a lot better at is sometimes it's just better to like make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Than to like pretend it didn't happen or
Yeah.
to run away, which is my immediate desire, is to run away or pretend like it didn't happen. When sometimes it's just better to be like, oh, sorry, I think I just spit on you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw it out there instead of just like looking around and being like, I wonder if he noticed.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
like
what
it's
just
just
happened?
sometimes you just got to say it.
You just,
get it
like
over
what we
with.
were talking about in the beginning, like you
Rip
just
the
gotta
Band-Aid
own
off.
it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I have a show recommendation.
Ooh, okay.
And I meant to say this and I just completely forgot. I'm so glad it came back to me. Have you heard of The English Teacher?
I've definitely seen
Taryn.
what's it called?
Okay. Have you seen Shrinking
Yeah.
yet? The English Teacher is New Girl Meets Shrinking. And it is so funny.
Interesting.
Jackson and I just stumbled upon it last night and we watched
platform?
so many episodes. Hulu. Highly
Okay.
recommend you guys. It's quick. Episodes are like 28 minutes, 25
Honestly,
minutes.
I appreciate that so much because I feel like a lot of shows I've watched recently, they're like hour
Yes.
episodes and it's like so hard because you're like,
deep
I
and
want to
they're
get to like
long.
the end of this
Yes. This is a
storyline.
very light watch. It is so funny. The humor is top notch and it's people like actors I've never seen before. And it's just really refreshing.
Yeah.
Highly recommend The English
Okay.
Teacher. If you're like anything like Taryn and I, you'll think it's hilarious. It's so funny. Yeah.
One thing about me and Ash is we have very similar tastes in like movies and shows. And so it's so nice because like if I find a show I love and I know Ash is gonna love it. So
Yeah.
every time Ash is like, hey, I have a show, or
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I have a show, we're always like, okay, yeah, what is it?
The last one I feel like you really recommended was Blackbird. Mm-hmm. And when you told me about that, I was like, Jackson, Tara recommended the show. Cancel all our plans.
Yeah,
we're
we
watching.
must watch.
We're watching all of it. Get cozy.
So
we're
good.
not leaving the house.
By the way, my socks look disgusting because I slugged my feet and it ruined my socks. So don't judge me.
Okay, that's fine. You slugged your feet and went outside.
No, like, do you ever do that? You put like Aquaphor all over your feet and then put a sock on and then go to bed?
Yes.
So I did that, but it like ruined these socks.
God,
So I'm telling you
way
that my
you
feet
said
are
it.
not sweaty. My socks are just ruined.
I thought you slugged your feet and then like went about your day. And I was like, how are you here?
I'm just specifying that my feet are fine.
That would be so uncomfortable to walk around your day all
Just
day
like
long with sluggish feet.
Sluggish. It's funny because like I like kind of have like a man now. I'm still not ready to talk about it.
Oh,
but
my
he
God.
loves to like, he'll just like grab my feet sometimes. And there was like one time I was like, not my like rough freaking heel. I could like hear it against his hand, like, and I was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to.
Oh no.
Me in the shower with like a cheese grater, just like. Okay, this one is titled "My Husband Wants His Cake and Eat It Too." Wants his cake and eat it too.
That's not allowed.
No, it's not allowed. Also, it's funny because this like hits on so many things we've talked about already today. I feel like we've been talking for 2.5
Like
hours.
we've been here for a whole day. I'm like, is it time to go home yet?
I literally am like, is this the first story you've read? Like, please feel free to exit at any point.
Also,
Okay.
this time change is just messing with me.
Yeah, like it's already getting dark and I'm like,
it's almost dark outside.
Yeah.
And when it's dark outside, I'm done working. Like I'm done working. So
Absolutely.
I can't work anymore.
okay, shut up. So I
Okay,
can get
I'm
into
gonna
the
grab
story.
my tea. I ordered my tea.
Dear Taryn and Ashley, I wanted to start by saying I adore you both and this podcast. I've had the hardest year today, and your podcast randomly popped up on my Spotify.
Oh my God, I love that. Hello,
So
Spotify
for that,
listeners.
I know we love Spotify. So for that, I thank you. For some reason, I have this tendency where I must start a podcast from the very beginning. Me too.
Girl. Yes.
Me too.
And binge the whole thing.
The whole thing. So that's exactly what I did. This is a long drama-filled story, so I apologize in advance. For this story, I would love to remain anonymous. I've been with my husband for a total of 10 years. We officially got married last October, and it was the most magical day, as one often says of the wedding day. Our honeymoon was even better. Now, here's where things start to go a little downhill. This past May, okay, so October,
November,
what? I literally
December,
was like
January,
October, January, February. That's
7
not
months.
wrong. 7 months?
Yes.
Okay. This past May, I went on my husband's computer to pay my portion of the rent. When I noticed he had at least 3 porn sites saved on his bookmark tab. That's,
Saved?
I don't know what's
That's
better.
ballsy.
Okay. Like, it's kind of what we were saying about like following those crazy accounts. Like, most guys probably still go and search and look at the accounts, but when you straight up follow and it's like, it's right there, easy to prove.
I respect a clear your cookies routine.
I mean,
You know?
Literally.
But like just like saved on the bar, that's nuts.
a bookmark. Do you know what I have bookmarked? It's like all of the websites that I have to pay bills. Like that's what I have bookmarked.
It's all of the websites that you have
frequent use.
frequent use, yes. That you have a profile on, like an account
Yeah.
on. It's the things that you like have a password for.
But you don't bookmark things that you just like go to once in a while. Like a bookmark is like
Yeah, bookmark means you're there often.
wild.
Often.
Wild. Thinking nothing of it at the time, I quickly paid my rent and left his computer. A day or two later, though, something in my gut was telling me to look at it again because something just
Yeah.
wasn't sitting right.
Well,
So I did. I snooped. She put shameful, I know, but also
it's
Bookmarked.
saved on his computer screen.
bookmarked. And
That's
if like you
crazy.
frequently go on his computer to like pay rent or like do things, like he's not the sharpest tool in the shed is all I'm saying.
Definitely not.
I found tons and tons of porn videos, naked celebrity nudes, etc. I told my best friend what I found, and she told me it's completely normal for a man to watch porn and told me just not to think about it. So over the course of the month, I continued to just randomly snoop and realized he was going on quite frequently. I decided to ask him about it, to which he replied, I don't watch porn. Or the guys in the group chat just send them in the chat.
Lie one, lie two. Full circle back to the beginning.
Full circle to how cringy it is when a grown adult can sit there and lie to you about something that you're like, I know that that is not true.
Shaking my head. And especially a bookmark. Bookmarked.
Obviously, something wasn't right because I kept getting the urge to continue to look. He would either deflect or get really defensive. Which again, every time, like we've talked about this before, when you have a gut feeling and you ask someone, the way people respond is so telling. Because for me, if Ashley were to ask me like, hey, I feel like you, like, were you like talking crap on me to Alicia? I don't know, something random, right?
Yeah.
If I really genuinely hadn't, I would be like, oh my God, no, why? Like, what made you feel that way? It'd be like a very like normal conversation. If like I had this weird guilt and I had this like a fight or flight moment and I like then turned and attacked you, like, well, no. And obviously you're feeling insecure, like blah, 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 and started acting like that. Like that should tell, like I'm basically saying, yeah, I have.
And that's gaslighting.
Yes.
To be like, you know, like there's a fine line of lying and then like turning the table and making the other person feel like they're making things up. Like
for sure.
Ugh.
No, I hate that. Or he would say like, oh, so now his story's changed. I quote unquote rarely watch it when asked. But what he doesn't realize is I know how much and how often he's watching it. So not only is he watching it, but he's lying to me about it. Here's the thing. I wouldn't have cared if he watched it, but it's the fact that he's lying and hiding it that makes me feel icky, which I 1000% agree.
100%.
We had a huge fight at the end of June where I confronted him about it all. And ever since that, our relationship has taken a deep dive. He would often sweep everything under the rug, act like everything was normal, where I would think about it repeatedly because nothing had been solved, therefore leaving the problem open-ended. He has not taken accountability for it for the longest time. He would often tell me that I would have to be the one to fix everything because he says from now on, I won't trust a word of it.
That's quite the tantrum.
Yeah. But she puts, he's right. I don't trust him. And I haven't since he started lying about it in the first place. This bugs me so much.
Uh-oh.
Then he started throwing my vows in my face.
Like for better or for worse?
She puts, not my physical vow book, but the words in my face and saying that I'm on my vows. I told him that if he were to do it a third time, so she must have like confronted him multiple times.
Yes.
That I would leave. And you probably guessed it right. He did it a third, fourth, and now we're on the fifth time.
Uh-oh.
Telling me that I'm the one that needs to fix our situation.
Whoa.
So I started therapy.
Whoa.
I started therapy. I've gotten back to God. I've prayed while he sits in his gaming chair, gaming with the boys. I've stayed throughout this process trying to make this work. However, when this last time hit, I left. I packed up my stuff and went to my parents' house for almost 2 weeks.
I'm so proud of you. I
wasn't ready for it.
I didn't think that was actually going to happen.
Yep.
And that was actually going to be like something I suggest, to be like, hey, you said something, you better stick to it.
Because he's not taking you serious. It's so clear.
No. I'm so proud of you for leaving.
I have so many things to say, but I'm going to finish this up. He has manipulated and gaslit me this entire process. I've told him that I wanted to seek couples therapy. But then after I left, he told me, well, I was waiting on you to schedule the therapy. And she puts, am I the only one in this relationship?
Yeah, the only adult for sure.
Yep. He has a computer, a phone, resources to do it himself too. She says, sorry, I'm ranting. No, girl, I get it. So ladies, here's my question. I got married to this man who at the time I was with for 9 years. Am I simply overreacting? Have I made this a bigger deal? Please help. If this gets read, thank you. And I hope that it helps other women or men who may be in a similar situation as I am. This has been very therapeutic. So thank you, ladies. You both are the best. Sincerely, Anonymous.
Holy.
I have there's just so many things to touch, and I just want to get this out of the way, okay? Because I think the topic of porn in relationships is very touchy because people are on every end of the spectrum, right?
Yes.
But that is the point to me. I have my own opinions about it. I think I've shared before, I did one of my senior papers on the effects of porn in a relationship. Y'all, it was wild.
Yeah.
And it definitely solidified to me that I don't want that to be in a marriage. Like, I don't want my husband to be watching that or me to be watching that in a marriage just because of the research I did. So I have my own reason and my own opinion for it. So when I'm in a relationship, whether like that person agrees or not with me, if I lay that boundary down, I expect it to be respected. Just like if another person laid a boundary down for anything, if I love them and I agree to enter a relationship knowing that that's their boundary, I would have to respect it too.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's easy. I think everybody has their own it's right or it's wrong for this topic. But what is important is how the two people in the relationship feel.
100%.
It's very clear, even though you keep saying like, I think I would be okay watching it. It's very clear that it does not make you feel good. The fact that he watches it frequently when he has you right there.
Yeah.
So I think like the first thing I would say is I feel like you're tiptoeing around like, I don't know. I think women sometimes feel like they need to be cool and just be okay with it when in fact, like it really bothers them. And I just want to say that is okay if it bothers you. Like you don't have to be like hip and like it means you're not confident in who you are in your sexuality if you have a problem with it. Like it is okay not to be comfortable with something.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Yeah. Especially if it's getting in the way of your relationship.
Yeah. And honestly, he obviously knows that he shouldn't be doing it or it's affecting him in a negative way if he's lying about it. You don't lie about things that you feel like you're totally fine doing.
Well, and they've had this conversation, 10 times now? Like clearly she's made her case and he clearly does not care. So that's what I feel like is bothering me the most here. It feels like the like outright disregard of her feelings from him is nuts.
Yeah.
And it's so rude. And we're two adults here. And what's crazy is he also made vows.
Yeah.
And you're not sitting here throwing it in his face. You're simply trying to fix the problem. You've brought it up multiple times. You've been gentle. You've brought solutions, options that you guys can do. And he's what? Disregarding it and playing games with his buds? Well, I am so proud of you for leaving.
No, I am too. And it's sad that it had to take that, but obviously like he wasn't taking you seriously.
He's a child. He's being a child.
Yeah. And I do agree. Like it's not even the topic of porn anymore. It's the fact that like you've caught this man multiple times and he continues to lie to you and then make you feel like, well, if you want to fix our relationship, that's on you because, well, nothing I say, you're not going to trust me anyways. And making it seem like it's her fault for not trusting him instead of his. Because let me tell you right now, in a relationship, if you lie to your partner and they find out, you damage trust.
Yes.
And that's why I think it's very, in the topic of lying in general, you have to be so careful because I'm telling you right now, if I'm dating someone and they say, hey, I'm going to go to Del Taco and get a burrito. I don't know. I've literally talked about Del Taco twice.
Should we?
I love Del Taco. Okay.
Go.
But if they say that, right? And then they come back and I'm like, oh, like, how was Del Taco? And they're like, oh yeah, Del Taco was like so great. And then I see like they have a receipt for Carl's Jr. I'm going to be like, oh, I thought you said you went to Del Taco. And if they start like lying about it, instantly in my mind, I'm like, something weird happened. Even if the lie was as simple as like, they went to Carl's Jr. instead of Del Taco.
Yeah.
The simplest lie, if someone barrels in and is like sticking to their lie, I'm going to be questioning everything that's said. My gut is going to be extra sensitive. So anytime there's like even a shift, I'm wondering like what else you're lying about. Why did you feel the need to lie? Like, in a relationship, you have to be so careful because trust is so hard to build back.
It's extremely hard to build back. And that's why when it comes to relationships, if you're looking at marriage down the line, you need to be talking about this stuff. Because if these are deal breakers, you should figure that out before you get married. And like if you had brought up porn before having gotten into a marriage, that might have made the stakes a little less stressful. And it could have been a simple like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on porn? And he could have been like, oh yeah, I do it sometimes. and you could have been like, oh, I don't really care for it. Would it be a problem for you if I asked you not to look at that? And then you could have a discussion about it instead of being so caught off guard by not only the fact that there is porn, but the frequency of the porn. And then like him also blatantly disregarding your feelings for it is so wild. It's like Jackson hates suede. He hates corduroy. He hates velvet.
Texture,
He hates it. And I know going into this relationship with him and into a future marriage with him that if I wear it, he's not going to touch me.
Yeah.
You know? And like, that's something I'm going to have to get used to. And if you go into a relationship with someone and you're aware that they like porn, that's either something that you hop on board with, or you should probably say goodbye, because it's a clear thing and it's not going to change 90% of the time. I'm not saying people can't change. I firmly believe that they can and do. I just think it's a lot of work and a lot of people don't want to put in the work.
Yeah. Well, I think our society takes it so light too. Like it's such a it's a normal thing. Everybody does it. And I think men especially don't understand why women treat them as if they cheated on them when they get caught doing it. But that is the key phrase, get caught. Yeah. It's never just like, all of my friends who have struggled with that in relationships, it's because the guy lies and lies and lies. Then they walk in and catch them watching it. And it's this big, like, I got caught, like whatever. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, like, you're watching another woman. Like, you are having like a biological reaction to
physical
another woman.
Reaction, emotional reaction.
It's hard for women to separate that is not cheating. Like, it feels very much like cheating in the moment. So, but when you add the like lying, when you add the multiple lies, when you add the like blatant lies.
When you've added the fact that you've asked him not to, and he literally has given you zero regard for that. That's crazy.
I also think it's wild to me. Like, I've had a lot of friends that have done that where they've been begging for couples therapy and to solve problems. And it's not until they decide to leave that all of a sudden the guy's like, well, okay. Like, let's go to couples therapy then.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Moving forward, I really feel like there is a massive issue here. And I think that obviously I believe in like reconciliation and that relationships, like you can grow and move on from things. But I do feel like he's showing that the only motivation for him to like do something is when it's like, oh shoot, she's leaving. And I don't think lasting change can come from a place of that. Yeah. So I feel like for you to move forward, if you're like, okay, fine, like let's do couples therapy, or, you know, like I asked for couples therapy. Like, how about you go to therapy on your own and then like check in with me in a month and then see if he commits to that. But like, I just really feel like this cycle is going to keep going unless he decides and makes moves on his own. Yeah. I don't think you signing you guys up for therapy and you having to become like the detective and accountability partner for this man is sustainable.
Well, now you're enabling him.
Yeah.
And you're doing all the hard work for him. And by hard work, I mean picking up a phone and scheduling an appointment.
Literally, you just have to Google therapist near me.
I mean, going through your bookmarks and deleting those bookmarks. Like, it's not, it's so crazy how he's making all of this seem like so difficult and like such a big task. And it's like, no, she's asking you to do like the simplest of things that would take you 8 minutes to do. Like, it's so bizarre.
I also, the vows bothers me so much.
Don't throw like, that in my face. You said
for better or worse. Like, that to me is like, if you like
are unable to do something,
and you guys are having to sacrifice all these things, but he's trying his hardest to like still find something, and you guys just are going through a rough patch. Like, but for me, like someone who like is intentionally doing things to hurt you and then is like throwing that at you is so wild.
And again, like zero remorse. Yeah. It sounds like. It's not like this is something he's struggling with and he feels bad for. You know, like I've had friends that had partners that had real addictions. And I'm not saying porn is not an addiction, because it definitely
it totally is. Yeah.
But I've had friends that had real addictions that struggled with this like need to smoke, have a hit, like whatever, X, Y, fill in the blank, whatever it is. And like, at least there was some, like, they were trying. At least they had, remorse for messing up again, at least they had goals and they were trying to reach those goals. It doesn't sound like he feels bad for this at all.
What's the number? Like, if you look at it as that, like, if you look at it as an addiction, like, the number one thing is like accepting and acknowledging that you have a problem. And like, he's not. And when the fact that he's saying, well, this is on you to fix our relationship because you don't trust me, he's totally bypassing like what happened to make you not trust him.
Yeah.
And porn aside, you have a valid reason to not trust him because he's lying to you.
Yeah.
So I just think, to me, this sounds like a lot deeper of an issue. And I'm not saying you shouldn't try because you've been with this man for like a decade. And like, if he's your person and you love him, like, I get wanting to try absolutely everything you can before leaving. But I do think this is on him. And I think you need to make that very clear. Like, this is an issue he has. And for it to be lasting change, it has to be something that he does on his own.
Yeah, 100%. And what I would highly suggest you do, if we're going to talk about like actionable items, is I'd make a list of 3 to 5 to 8 things that you need him to do before you even consider doing marriage counseling together. Couple counseling together, therapy together, whatever. You're not going to move back in and you're not going to do couples counseling with him and start working on your relationship until he, 1, deletes the bookmarks, until he, 2, sets up, therapy for himself to deal with the addiction that he clearly has. I think everything you've been doing has been shining a spotlight on this. And I think if it was easy for him to stop, he would have stopped. But it's not, because it's way more of a bigger problem than it is.
Yeah, there's resources out there. Like, there's groups, there's like books, there's articles. Like, it's not a shameful, it's a very understandable addiction.
Totally.
And the way our society is, and especially like young boys, the way their minds work, and if they're exposed to that at a young age, like, an addiction is very understandable.
If I was watching videos of Chris Hemsworth naked every single day, I'd be addicted.
Yeah.
I would be addicted.
Yeah.
It's such a natural thing to become addicted to. And there's no judgment for saying, hey, this has become a problem for me. But it's not hard either to say, I think I might need help getting over this, And I think this is one of those things we've talked about on the podcast before. Your partner shouldn't be your accountability buddy.
No, absolutely not.
I think
it's a recipe for a disaster.
It's so hard. It's so hard marriage is hard. Marriage is hard. And having a healthy marriage is really hard and it takes a lot of work. Having a healthy marriage and putting all that effort into yourself and into your relationship and your family and your home, and then having to be your partner's accountability buddy is too much. And I think especially when it comes to things like porn that deeply involve your sexual relationship with your partner, your person should have someone else that they can go talk about that with, because you don't need to hear that.
No.
Because that's stuff you can't unhear, And I don't think...
Well, and it's hard not to take it personal when like it really isn't personal if it's an addiction. Yeah.
And if you guys are struggling, he needs to have I personally think, another male figure in his life that can help chat and have deep discussions of the dark parts. And that way you don't have to hear it, because I don't think we necessarily need to hear everything. I think sometimes that can make things worse. And I would highly suggest that you have him delete the accounts. I would highly suggest you have him find a therapist. And I would highly suggest he do 5 sessions before you two get back into like working towards getting back together.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's difficult.
Well, yeah, I think...
I don't think it's a huge ask.
You've got to figure out like your official boundaries. And I think right now you're tiptoeing around the fact that like you're clearly not comfortable with it. So I think it's okay for you to sit back and be like, okay, moving forward, because if that's the case, then he just needs to be honest with you that he watches it. If that's the case, if it's just lying. So I think you've got to figure out like what you're comfortable or not with.
Yes.
And you need to communicate to him like, hey, this affected me way more than I thought it was, and I'm not comfortable with this moving forward. Is that something you're okay with? Okay, cool. Well, I'm very hurt and like my trust is broken, I'm willing to like go to therapy with you, but you need to set that up and then you just reach out to me when you have a session scheduled and then leave it at that. And if he doesn't reach out to you, if he doesn't make any effort, if he comes back being like, well, this is on you, then that's your answer.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. If the porn itself isn't like that much of an issue for you and it's just the lying, then come up with something that you guys are both comfortable with that doesn't break a boundary for you and that he can agree to. Like there's got to, you know, like all that. That's why this stuff needs to be talked about first beforehand.
Well, yeah,
Before
and I mean
rings.
it's hard because they've been together for so long, so it's just one of those things that like, you know, I think it just proves like no matter how long you know somebody, like you just never know like
you don't know someone
what could be there or like how a person feels about a scenario if it doesn't come up.
And people change, especially if these people have been together for a long time. Like maybe he didn't watch porn when they first got together and they were having those kinds of conversations, and now he does.
Yeah.
Who knows when that started?
But it should be because you guys have an intimate, like you're married. It should be something where you guys can like talk about, you know, hey, is there a reason that you're feeling the need to watch it a lot? Like, are you feeling like, is there something that you feel like is missing between our life, or is this something totally separate? And like, if you feel like there's something missing, can we commit to trying to like work on our intimacy instead of you going to this? Because I would rather us work on it together.
And that's such a healthy adult conversation. It's such an easy conversation of like, hey, can we talk about it? Can we talk about options?
Yeah. But y'all, I am so tired. I get that society, we've come leaps and bounds. Everybody's so free to say and do what they want. But I am so tired of like getting judged if you have opinions that don't match the like very bold, like whatever. Like I think it's like wild to me that, you know, I like if a woman were to be like, I don't want my man to watch porn, that she's like shamed and judged for not being like comfortable in herself or like not. I just feel like at the end of the day, like you are the one that lives in your mind. So you have to sit with your own decisions. And if you feel strongly about something, then say it.
Yeah.
And then either another person matches you or you don't. Like say things with your chest and like stick to like what you believe. Like I just feel like there's so much pressure that comes in on both sides. Like, well, if you don't do this, you're a prude. If you do this, you're not feminist. If you do this. And like sometimes I think we get so wrapped in being like advanced in areas that we push ourselves into areas that we're not comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to sit back and be like, what do I feel okay with or what do I not? And like, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Like, I have to live in my own mind.
Yeah. And you don't have to have a reason, and you don't have to have an excuse, and you don't have to have this whole thought process behind why you choose to do or not do something.
Yes.
It can simply be a yes or it can simply be a no. And
Absolutely.
you don't owe anyone that. Back to the like political climate thing. Like you don't have to have like big opinions on anything. If you don't like something, you don't like something. And all you should have to say is, hey, I don't like that. And a loving partner would have this huge wave of empathy and understanding and say, okay.
Because they care about you.
Because they can see that it bothers you. It shouldn't be this whole, well, tell me why. And can we, you know, like it should be an obvious, like, all right, I'll stop and let's talk. Like, let's figure this out. Like, clearly it's bothering you. It's like if you saw someone you love sitting here crying, wouldn't you ask what's wrong? Wouldn't you like try to fix it?
Like if you're so wrapped up getting in the like who's right, who's wrong, but you're not even seeing the emotion of like, whoa, an action of mine caused someone I love to be in pain. Like I think that speaks, and that's why I said there's so much deeper of an issue there, because for me, and I've shared in my past relationship, I think when I knew it was over was when I was sitting and crying and he looked at me and was like, I was like, are you not even phased that I'm like literally sitting here like falling apart? And he was like, well, you cry all the time. So, and that was where I was just like, whoa, like this person doesn't care how they affect me like at all. And that was like a moment where I was like, that's such a basic instinct about someone you care about. If I walk in a room and Ash is crying, I'm immediately going to be like, what happened and like, what can I do?
Yeah.
And then if you're like, hey, you wore polka dots and it triggered me, I'm going to be like, I don't understand that, but like noted. And I won't wear them.
Yeah.
Even if I think it's ridiculous. If I'm like, whoa, me doing this affected you. If I love you, I'm going to shift, or I'm going to take the time to sit and be like, hey, can we come to a compromise? Because polka dots is my favorite pattern. You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild to me that we get so stuck in our right to have an opinion that we don't care or like even try to empathize that like we could be like hurting another person. Like, that's wild to me.
I think the polka dot analogy is incredible.
But yeah, because it's stupid to me. But what if it's
part of my brand?
No, literally, it's just it's so crazy to me that people get so stuck in like, well, I can say and wear whatever I want. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. But you can
I have
also
the right
like
to
hurt
voice
somebody.
my thoughts and opinions. Blah blah blah. Sure, of course you do. But if it's affecting someone you love.
Shouldn't that affect you too?
A non-sociopath would take a beat and check in with that person and say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
They're just polka dots. Like, why is it bothering you so much? And they would have that conversation. That's what's so crazy to me, that this guy, this husband, isn't even sounding remorseful, isn't even trying to, I feel like I know plenty of guys who, I was at a party once, and someone was talking about something, and I was with the girls, and the guys were in like the other side of the room. And this group of them specifically kept saying this name, and we were like, what is that? And they were like, oh, it's a porn star. And they said it so casually, and all the girls were like, ew, gross. And all the guys were like laughing or talking about like some video that was talking about her, but they all knew the name. And I feel like the guys like that who are so blatantly, they're like, yeah, we watch porn sometimes, whatever. They would like negotiate, or they'd be like, oh, okay, like, how often can I? They would try to have a conversation at least. His disregard for your feelings whatsoever screams sociopath or like narcissistic at least.
Just like the shadiness. And then the like, well, you got to fix our marriage if you want it to be better. Like, it's wild.
You want to fix this? You do it. I'm going to sit here and play games with the boys? Ew.
No, yeah.
Ew.
I unfortunately think this is like way deeper than, and most things are. And that's what's hard when you like, you get in a really big fight, or, you have a friendship breakup or a guy breakup, and the question is, well, what happened? And sometimes like it's, if you're like, well, I caught him watching porn, they'd be like, oh, but it's like, it's so much deeper. There's so much here that like you're being disrespected in your marriage, and there is a functional flaw in regards to like a loving partnership. And so I think this is a bigger thing than just us answering like, oh, do this or do that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that needs to be fixed.
It totally is. And here's the thing. We all have our burdens, right? We all have the things that we struggle with. And some people in their family even have a really hard time with alcohol. And, whether you have opinions on alcohol or don't have opinions on alcohol, this one person in your friend group kind of struggles with it. And that probably stems from like a family thing or a physiological thing or a biological thing. The same thing goes with porn. If there could be people who casually watch it and it doesn't affect them so much. But then there's other people who watched it and then watched it again, and now they can't stop watching it. Just like someone had a drink and then had another drink, and now they can't stop having a drink.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between casually drinking socially and needing
to
booze
function
every single day. Like, there's a difference. And I think what you're dealing with here is an addict. And I think the second I think that's switched for you. You finally see it in that aspect. I don't think it's switched for him. I think in his head, he still thinks he's socially drinking. When it's like, buddy, you can't go to bed without a glass of wine. That's an addiction. And it's going to take probably an outsider for that to like click into place for him.
Yeah.
And that's why I highly suggest you have him before even considering getting back together or working on the marriage or whatever. I would suggest you have him find himself someone to get him through this, because he's an addict.
It's I think I've talked about this before, but it's so funny because I grew up very conservative, like my own little like Christian education bubble, right?
And that is why we clicked, because same.
Yeah. And when it came to porn specifically, in my mind, I thought only like rapists and like murderers watched it. Like it was
that's how it was taught to us.
It was such a crazy thing. And I, like I said, I have a very strong opinion about it based on my own like research and also like experience. But I think that sometimes like we do such a disservice to kids growing up of we don't want to talk about these things and we want to scare them away from it. But what you do is create this like very shame-based like cushion around these topics that if we would just take the time to like actually talk about it and educate and explain consequences in a way that's not like, if you have sex, you will get an STD and die.
You will get pregnant.
It's like, yeah, you might, but like that should be part of a conversation about everything else that comes with it.
Yes.
And we wonder why kids like, or this guy too, grow into these
fully
people
adult man
that are still having to hide and be ashamed of like these things, where in reality, like, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we need to talk about things, and it's okay to talk about it and still be against it.
You know, that kind of makes me realize I have known friends in the church that have watched porn, and I have known friends outside of the church that have watched porn. For example, that party I went to. Do I have my own opinions on porn? Yes. I would much rather have someone talk about it openly than like hide in the shadows and do it and then lie to my face about it.
Oh my God, absolutely.
And I do agree. I think the way that the church raised us was like, oh, you can't talk about this. You can't discuss this. So it becomes this super shameful thing. So you never talk about it. And then it just escalates. And we've talked about this on the podcast. If you don't talk about things, it becomes so big in your head. It becomes so scary. It's this huge, scary monster. We talked about this with anxiety. I think of like picturing what anxiety is. It's this big, shadowy thing that you can't speak out loud because it's Voldemort. And if you say his name, he's going to be, he'll show up. And it's this whole scary thing, when in reality, if you just said that you're addicted to watching porn videos, the world's not going to end.
Yeah, and you can actually
most likely,
like
you'll find someone in the room who also struggles with the same thing. So having these conversations is so important, especially at a young age. So I wouldn't be shocked if your guy, Anonymous, was raised that way, or if he had maybe some trauma in the past that kind of like pushed him in this direction, or, you know, a friend or a family member that kind of pushed him in this direction. I would not be shocked. I think a lot of like machismo-ness can kind of like unintentionally, sometimes intentionally, like lead boys and men into that direction, which is so not fair.
Yeah.
And I think your guy needs a safe place and a safe person, preferably a safe man, to open up to.
Yeah.
Because I would not be, because the way that he's making this such a thing and such a big deal, and the bookmarkingness of it is so much more than just like a here or there. It sounds like a real issue.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you're going through that.
No, me too. And I think I think you'll be shocked how many people listening to this can relate to either going through something, or were raised certain ways, or are being like, you know what? Wow, I do need to form my own opinion and like figure out how to have these conversations with someone I'm dating. So we genuinely, I mean, with everyone who writes in, like, we're so thankful that you guys are vulnerable, because that's why we have this podcast, to just create conversations and realize that like we're all just trying our best in life. Like we're all just like trying to make it to the next chapter. So I feel like
you're not human if you're not struggling with something, and no one's burden is worse than anyone else's burden. Like all of our burdens are ugly and dirty and heavy, and that's why you're supposed to share them with people, and you're supposed to like talk about them with people so that other people can help you carry that burden, you know?
Yeah. I fully agree. Well, wow. Apparently we need to talk about it. But I do think it's funny because certain topics like you can't stop talking about, and usually they're the topics that you felt silenced about.
Yeah.
So I think it was good for us to talk about this, and I think it's like, I don't know. It's why like people are, I think, shocked when like Christians or people who are conservative want to like have conversations about heavy topics, and it's like, no, but we should. Like, we all should. Like, you can believe something's like not right, but still have healthy conversations about it. Yeah. And like,
this podcast has helped me so much.
So much to like articulate stuff.
I've never been good at bringing up serious things. And I've never been good at bringing up serious things in a casual way. Like, I don't know how to do that. And this podcast and my friendship with Taryn has helped me very much be like, oh, it would be better to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Than like it build up or you picture this thing in your head when it's actually not that big of a deal. And like, why not talk about something and see where your partner or best friend or coworker, maybe not coworker. I was trying to broaden the spectrum, but why not see where they stand?
No, absolutely.
It's only going to help you know them a little bit better. And isn't that what we want?
Yeah. Shoot. I forgot. I wrote down a quote and now I can't find it, but it's such a good quote. But it's basically like what you keep in your mind, you like feed.
Yeah.
So like the power of just like talking about things. But like when, like me, like before I like did research on like pornography in a marriage, like for me, like even the word porn was such a trigger. And I was like, oh my God, like it was a cuss word.
Yeah.
A cuss word.
Not the P word.
Yeah, not the P word. So I feel like it's we make these things, these huge things, and then that's where like shame and distance and hiding comes. And I think it's if you feel the need to hide a portion of yourself from people you love, that should be the biggest like indication of, okay, then like something's not right there. Yeah. And I need to find a safe person to try to process this with.
Yeah. And it's okay to talk to other people before talking about it with your partner. Like if there was anything that was like really freaking me out and I needed to talk to Jackson about it, but I didn't know how to talk to Jackson about it, you bet your I would be practicing it with Taryn first before going to Jackson. Like that's what friends are for. Like that's what family, I'd practice with Taryn, my sister, or my mom.
Yeah.
That's what people are. That's why we're in each other's lives.
Yeah.
So we should utilize that, right?
No, absolutely.
So let's all start talking more.
Let's all start
summation,
talking.
Let's communicate.
Because everyone's struggling with the same thing. So
yes.
Well, that was a long conversation. So we're gonna have to skip Ash's story.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna end us with a dad joke.
Please do.
Mountains aren't just funny, Ash. They're hilarious.
Hilarious. Good job, Taryn.
Thanks.
Guys, if you made it to the dad joke, you already know the drill. We love you the mostest. Be sure to follow us on social media. We're doing a lot of fun things over there. And check out our Supercast account. We have plenty of premium bonus content for you guys to listen to. Lots of extra Taryn, lots of extra Ashley, and including scary stories. And yeah, we love you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.